Hi everyone, welcome. Welcome to our final masterclass of 2025. It's really great to see so many of you here today again. Thanks for joining us or for joining me. Today we are going to have a conversation about the feedback register in Logiqc and how that can really help us to capture as much information as we possibly can, really do right by our consumers and ensuring that we acknowledge their feedback and we give them an outcome, but also where there is opportunities for the organisation to improve, we capture those as well. So let's get started. Great. So before we start, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional owners on the land of the lands on which we meet today and pay my respect to elders past and present. Oh, just with these masterclasses, this session will be recorded and the recording will be sent out to you. So if you need to share it around with others in your team that maybe couldn't make it today, please feel free to do so. I'd also love for you to pop some questions in the Q&A or the chat. So please do that. If we don't, for some reason, are able to answer all of those before the end of the session, I will address them in a Q&A and mail that out as part of the session today. So just what things that we are going to have a look at today is some of those key features of the feedback register. And I know that we're all familiar with those, but just there might be something that you didn't know that the feedback register can give you as well. So I'm just going to go through all of those, but it is a central repository for all of those feedback that we received. And because feedback can be positive and negative, it does give us the opportunity to really focus on how we want that to be handled. So we do have that permission-based user access at all levels. And that is achieved automatically by our business rules. And they help us delegate, notify the right people and make sure that the confidence is there that the right people will see this and no one else. We can also record the details of the person that provided the feedback or anyone else that may have witnessed what happened. So we've got that component as well. Once the manager is assessing the severity of that feedback or that complaint, they're able to assign a severity assessment rating against that. And then, of course, that will help us define a range of different things that needs to happen. We've got the workflow, so we can ensure that it follows a systematic and logical approach where we report the feedback, we manage it, we take the action that's required before we close that off. And there is that workflow delegation right through to the closure. So for some of our customers that have been with us for a really long time, you may not have business rules activated on your registers, and that's what the little notification is about. That automated business rules really does need that feature enhancement. Most of our customers do have that added to their feature. Our key features continue here. We can put in pre-programmed response protocols. Some of the things that we receive feedback about might be reportable to other agencies. And therefore, we may require to meet specific timeframes. Our organisational complaints management policy might also stipulate how we want to manage a complaint or a grievance, and therefore we can set up those protocols in the back end with those very specific timeframes to ensure that we meet those obligations and we do the right thing all the time. We've also got automated email reminders. Now, you'll all be well aware of these. When a task is overdue, Logiqc, of course, sends you that email notification. We can link correspondence and records, so letters of complaint, requests from external agencies for more information. All of those things can be recorded in the records register or add records part of the feedback, and we can control, of course, the access control and who sees that. We've got our systems event history, which tells us and date and timestamps every single time we've done anything about that feedback. We also have trend reporting in our analytics. We can link our complaints to risks that occur, and we can link some of our compliments and other feedback to accreditation in the register. I'll just go to the platform and we'll go and have a look at the feedback details form. So I guess what I wanted to show here is once we've had a look at that feedback, we can see here how we can control a range of different things, the types of feedback, who the feedback's from. We can record around systems or programs and services, because someone doesn't generally complain about the organisation as a whole. They complain about an experience that they had. So maybe a specific program, maybe a specific service that they came to. So you can include this particular related service or program as part of your in the back end functionality of the platform. The persons involved component, again, is a decision that you can make as an organisation. You can activate or use those response protocols, which we did in this instance, and we can track here how that's been followed through from start to finish. And in this instance, a business rule applied to the particular feedback that was reported. So because of the severity and the type of feedback that was reported, it's going to have oversight through our executive management team, and it was reported straight to our CEO. Notification was sent to Elizabeth, and we had really specific individual users that had access to that. So we really wanted to control that, and our business rule and how we built that really helped in that particular process. In the next slide, when I move back to the platform, we're going to go and have a look at the additional register settings, because there are a range of decisions that you as an organisation can make, you as a quality manager can make around what you want to be able to be reported on that feedback form. So as I said in that first instance, we can link feedback to a particular program or service. We can also manage information requests from external agencies. So when we may have had an incident happen, we may have had a report of an aged care or an NDIS related event that occurred, and we might be asked for more information. We might have a police request or a subpoena from a court for specific records, and the feedback register allows us to manage those information requests as well. So we'll have a little bit of a look at that. We can record and control whether we want to have those persons involved components to be mandatory. We can also monitor feedback from different regions or multi-sites. So you can, again, be able to go into analytics and look at those particular regions. We can record complaint response dates. So when did we actually acknowledge that complaint and respond to that? We can determine whether the complaint was upheld and, again, put a date and time to that. We can identify issues and opportunities for improvement, which closes that quality loop for us. And we can predetermine who in our organisation are able to close complaints. Just because we have closed feedback, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the same group or amount of people that we want to be able to close complaints. We might have a very different idea of who in our organisation should close complaints. We've got feedback register settings. We've got those individual permissions that relate to the feedback, our business rules and response protocols. Let's go and have a look at the back end of the platform for these. So to do that, of course, you'll need access to admin mode, and a lot of those settings sit here in the system settings. Under our system settings, what we want to look at in this instance is our register settings for feedback. Now, we're all really familiar with these back-end settings, and the majority of the things that we generally have to make decisions about sits within these register menus. They are all the drop-down menus, and we can control, of course, what the information is that we share in those. The one that is unique, or the two in this instance that you do need to consider if you want to implement some of those features that we spoke about in your feedback register, is that information request type. So typically here are things that we're going to want to add about who is asking us for information requests. We might have some requests for information from our members. We might have those from police. we might have subpoenas, we might have peroneals. So all sorts of reasons why an external agency or a member may ask you for particular information. And those have really strict rules and guidelines around them. So we want to be able to adhere to those. And the feedback register allows us to do that through this information request type. We also do have our programs and services. So if you want to highlight your mums and bubs, your allied healthcare, maybe you have activities program, maybe hackers, some shopping services, and you really want to be able to track that particular feedback, you can include those services or programs in this particular area, which will then be available for you to select from your drop-down menus. Further to that, the bit that we don't often see is the register settings. So in our feedback, in our incident register, these are most prevalent because we've got a lot of decisions to make here. We can control essentially who we send notifications to. Do we want to send notifications? So do we want to have the option to say send to all staff or send to everyone that can manage or approve this? Or do we want to be able to select that individually? When we think about the individual selection, if you have 100+ staff, that's a lot of people that you have to tick if you want to inform all staff. But if your feedback heavily relies on your business rules, then that's okay because you're going to just choose those 2 or 3 people. If we toggle this switch, we're enabling the related services and program fields, which will then give us the opportunity to add those names into that menu option. And we can choose to enable those information requests. Now, I'm enabling it because I want to show you how that works today. And we can set the persons involved component as mandatory. Setting that component as mandatory means that the user must at least add themselves or the person that we received the feedback from. Otherwise, the form won't validate. What does that mean? The form will give you an error when you press the submit key, and the error will be the fact that your persons involved component is mandatory and the staff member may not have completed that. Additional things that we can add here is our complaints determination and response dates. We can add the related region. And for anyone that hasn't had an opportunity to read the latest release that went out this week, you can now hide the identified issues component on the reporting stage. So in the incident feedback, improvement, repair, we had that component that said, do you want to add an identified issue? Clicking that hide component here removes it from the reporting page, which means the user that's reporting doesn't have to think about that. That can come out through the manage and the close stages. We can also set a default viewing permission for complaints, but this is not locked down, and therefore we really do want to focus on our business rules when we set those up. We spoke about permissions, so I'll come to the permission tab. And when we think about our feedback, we've got an option for people to, of course, report feedback. They can manage reporting register items, they can action reporting register items, and they can close feedback. But if I go that initial step further, we can see that there is a very specific permission that you can apply for users that can close complaints. So 3 roles in my platform are assigned to be able to close complaints, and I have 15 users currently assigned to be able to close complaints. So at a quick glance, I can see who that is, and that means I can go and adjust my roles, or I can adjust my individuals based on who I actually do want to be able to close those complaints for us as an organisation. Okay, so let's go and have a look and see what happens when we report all of these different things. Right, so this is a feedback item that I've added, and we're going to go through each and every single stage. So when I think about that feedback details, we had a complaint from Mrs. McKinnon's daughter, and she was concerned that her mother's appearance and mobility after she completed a Zumba class, she was concerned about that. She said her mum had trouble to get up from her chair, The daughter provided assistance to help her to get out, and when she touched mum to help her up, mum complained and said that her left shoulder was really sore. When she further investigated, she saw that there was a skin tear and her mum had severe bruising. So she thought that her mum might have been suffered some form of abuse, and she wanted the organisation to investigate. So the complaint was added. We added a complaint. It came from a carer or a guardian. We added that it was our Fit for Life program so that we can monitor what those activities are achieving, whether that got good outcomes, bad outcomes. Because she mentioned the word abuse, we went through the category of client rights and subcategory of abuse. We recorded the date and time that we received this complaint, and we added as much information as we could. So we added the details that she provided. We told the immediate action, so we responded to her daughter and advised that we will seek medical attention from mum straight away, and we'll also investigate as an organisation how this happened. The reporter chose to add additional comments, and in that they included that the daughter was very distressed and concerned for her mum's welfare. We included the people that were involved. So we included Ms. McKinnon so that we can monitor and track details around her. And we also included Alison, who is mum's daughter. So again, as you are aware, for each of those individuals, it now creates its own little report of how we're managing that particular feedback. And of course, as we know, that can be followed through all of the related actions. The user, as we've said before, business rules would have applied and the user would have reported that. It's gone to the manage stage where our manager has received, they've received a description of the feedback and the immediate action, and they chose to apply a response protocol. They assigned a severity assessment, and they used the guidance to determine that there was some injury it attributed to her healthcare or the lack thereof that wasn't related to her this particular injury. There was no real harm, and maybe she only required first aid. So through reading through this, the manager made a judgment that that might be rated as a SAC 3. We completed all of the other components. We did the investigation. We followed the response protocol. So we acknowledged the complaint. We sent the acknowledgement of complaint. We investigated. We determined the response. We followed up, and we implemented systems improvements. So we really did follow through that response protocol, which we can go and have a look at as well. We moved the action to close with that final outcome. And our complaints determination was that it wasn't really a complaint. It was merely an accident. And we acknowledged that. We've sent a final response to the family, and we've also added our opportunity for improvement, which we'll manage through the improvement register. So if we go and have a quick look at that, we can see here she got injured during Zumba. We should review the care plans and medications before residents can participate in Zumba. They need a medical review by their GP and ensure that there's enough activity staff to make sure that no one gets injured. They stay far enough away. So all of these things we've done to be able to manage that complaint effectively. And through Logiqc, we can, of course, attach all of those records that we need to do that. So let's now say that there is Alison wasn't happy. She sent it through to the Ministry of Health, and she made an official complaint against the organisation. So now we've received a notification to say that we've got to look into this further. We've got to go in and have a look and see why this happened. The ministry is asking for all of our information. So what we can do from here is do that information request. So you can do it in a number of ways. You can add it as a completely new piece of feedback, but I'm going to link my two together just so that the information stays together. I'm going to open another feedback form, and I'm going to put in the information request. Now I can still, or I'm going to put in my feedback type as that information request. I can still complete all of the other details, but what it does here is it creates this whole new section for me. And when I click on the Add button, I can monitor how that that request is being handled. So we may have received a request for information. It came to us yesterday. If the requester is in our contact list, we can use the drop-down menu to add them. If not, we can add their details by free typing. What are their contact details? And what are they asking us? So formal complaint into conduct of service. So we can add a range of details in here. What is really important is that we're able to track when that information request needs to be back to the agency, and we can track progress notes in here. So we can leave this marked as open, and from here, we can then assign responsibility, put our response protocol in place as to how we're going to manage this information request, and come in and complete all of that information. Why did I keep the two together? Because any further information that we're being asked is going to be related back to that feedback that we reported and the investigation that we did. And it's going to give us an opportunity to ensure that all of the information around this, all of the requests from external agencies, all of the additional reporting and investigations that we do remain in place. And from there, of course, we can link system improvements, which we can monitor through our Logiqc improvement register. So it gives us a range of different ways in which we can manage additional requests. We can manage the feedback. We can ensure that the customer, that the relatives, that everyone else involved is provided with the outcome. We've corrected our process. We've looked at how we can make it better. We received additional information, additional requests, and we're now monitoring those as well. So it just really helps us to close that quality loop. Before we go to questions, I'll just let you know that we've got some additional resources here through our knowledge base around all of these different components that we'll include in the mail out as well. So I'll check if anyone has any questions. Someone is asking whether we can add open disclosure to the manage page like it is in the incident register. I'll take that on notice, and I can add that to the development or to as a request for an enhancement, and we can certainly monitor that through the dev team. So I can add that, absolutely. Any other questions or comments? Okay, if no one has any further questions, thank you so much, everyone, for consistently coming to our webinars and supporting that. We really do appreciate that. If you have any specific requests for what you'd like to see in 2026 through the webinar series, please reach out. You can email us at customersuccess@logiqc.com.au. You can reach out to me as well. If you have any other queries or concerns, please reach out to support@logiqc.com.au. We're open to doing exactly what you want us to do. You know, we've got the 4 webinars, and that's going to continue throughout next year. So if anyone has any specific requests, anything they want to see in there, please let us know. If not, have a wonderful festive season and a wonderful break. And if you're traveling, travel safe. And I look forward to continue working with all of you next year. Have a great day, everyone. See ya. Bye.